Hi, I'm Dan Zimbro from Homeowner Law, and I want to take a few minutes to talk about a disturbing trend I'm finding within community associations, and that's this us versus them mentality. Us being the individual board members, managers, and association attorneys, and them being the homeowners. So how does this play out? Well, from the very beginning of a dispute, the homeowner is treated as this third party, this outsider, rather than who they really are, which is a member of the same organization, association as the board members. So let me give you kind of an extreme example to prove my point. Let's say you're going on vacation, you're spending a couple $100s per night at a hotel. You've been traveling all day, you just want to take a shower and go to bed. Well, there's no hot water. What do? You call down to the front desk and they tell you, oh sure, we'll get that taken care of right away. You wait, nothing happens, you get dressed, you go back downstairs, you talk to the person in person, and you say, hey, there's still no hot water. And they're dismissive. They're really busy and say, well, don't worry, we'll take care of it. You go back upstairs, nothing happens. The next morning you wake up, still no hot water. So you call back down to the front desk, and this time you're a little agitated, conversation doesn't go quite as planned. An hour later you get a call from the general manager who says, hey Mr. Smith, I didn't appreciate how combative you were with my staff. You got to knock it off, and if you don't, you're going to get a letter from our attorney. Well, I know this sounds kind of preposterous, but in reality something like that happens all the time, every day within community associations. Now, I get it. Associations are not Fortune 500 companies. They don't have big budgets and put the client first mentality. But they could, maybe not with the budgets, but with an attitude shift. And I know several associations, many associations have that attitude. But for others that don't, this is where the disputes arise all too often. And what's the underlying theme? What is the reason for some of these disputes? Well, first, I think it's a level of distrust. Many homeowners distrust boards, and boards often distrust homeowners. How do you break through that? Well, boards should be as transparent as possible. Communicate through newsletters, through websites, through homeowner forums and board meetings. And homeowners similarly, don't hold back. And I think that goes to the second aspect, which is miscommunication or lack of communication. At the beginning, outset of a potential problem, communicate. Be transparent. There's no reason to withhold information. If you're a homeowner, get out the information right away. Don't let it fester. Don't just talk among other neighbors and homeowners rather than the board. And the board, communicate with the manager, get legal advice, and then pass that along and find a solution, a collaborative solution, rather than that adversarial tone. And lastly, I think it's attitude. Once again, it's combined. The lack of communication, the distrust leads to a general attitude of this us versus them from both sides. I also see another component is from the legal side, that many association attorneys seem to take on their client as board members rather than the association. I used to represent associations for well over a decade, and from time to time boards would ask me to do something or take a position that was not in the best interest of the association. And I'd have to tell them, I'd say, I understand where you're coming from, and from the board perspective that may be what you want, but that's not in the best interest of the association. And on occasion, not very often, but on occasion I'd actually have to fire an association because they wanted me to do something, take a position, advocate for them that was not in the association's best interest. But that's from the legal side. If you're a homeowner and you're feeling that's happening, then confront the attorney and ask them, are you really representing myself as an association member or the association, or are you representing the interests of a board? And have them justify to you their position. Well, we've talked a little bit about disputes and this attitude, and a couple of ways, 3 ways of breaking through it. And remember, at the end of the day, when they say that if association disputes get into court, it's really only the lawyers that win, maybe not. But it shouldn't be an us versus them mentality. It should be us as a whole. Because at the end of the day, you're still one organization, you're one community, you're one association, and you're neighbors. And you're going to be neighbors long after the individual dispute is resolved.